Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Customer wants half off on a piece of furniture and delivered into their place. Another really wants to start barbecuing. Another thinks paint is shut down when standing inside of the department, and all this in a section that's closed. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Some people are really dense. So my store has a furniture area that's been ordered to shut down a few days ago because it's obviously non-essential. So we have a barricade across the entryway to prevent people from going in. So yesterday a couple comes in and sees the barricade. They're known to be a pain because they always want discounts, even though the guy's job in the medical field earns him a lot more than the average person. So the couple come in and see the barricade. They say they saw a piece of furniture they're interested in getting, but are wanting a discount. So the girl who works in that area goes in and checks the piece. It's worth over $3,000. So she says she can take $500 off. The wife says that's still way too much and wanted it for half off. My coworker told her that's not possible. She can take an additional $200 off, but that's as low as she'll go. Part of her offer, too, is we'll deliver it, but it will only be dropped in their driveway. The husband said, "We can't get that into our house by ourselves. How are we supposed to get it in?" My coworker replied, "That's something you'll have to figure out yourselves. We can't be entering people's houses right now." They didn't take it. We were all shaking our heads after they left, saying the husband works in the medical field, so he should be well aware of why we can't be going into people's houses. The next one, a few days ago, I had a customer needing parts for his barbecue. So I contact the company and their messages say most of their customer service staff are working from home and the factory is basically shut down. I get a hold of a customer service agent and basically his parts won't come for quite some time. So I phone the customer and tell him it could be weeks or months before his parts arrive. His response was, "But it's barbecue season. I want to start barbecuing." I told him unfortunately there's no one at the factory, so his parts can't be shipped out. He gave a long, annoyed sigh and told me to order them and keep him informed if anything changes. And another one, but really funny one that happened yesterday. I was in our store's paint area, which is right next to our closed-off furniture area. So I'm standing well inside paint, surrounded by paint cans helping a customer, when an older guy comes in and says, "Is your paint area shut down?" Confused, I say, "No, we're still operating. If you want to choose a color, just go over to the board and pick some colors." He replied, "But you have it closed off. How am I supposed to get in?" I was really confused at this point. I asked, "Are you needing paint or furniture?" He said he needs paint. I said, "It's furniture that's closed off. Paint's still running." He said, "But paint has barricades to the entrance. I can't get in." Finally, I said, "Sir, it's furniture that's closed. This is paint." He goes, "Oh, is this paint?" I say, "Yes, this is paint." The guy was at least 15 feet inside the paint area, and when talking to me, asking all that, he was standing in front of a stack of paint with a wall of paint products less than 6 feet away from him, with large signs saying paint, etc. hanging everywhere. And our second story. Money-grubbing landlords. So my landlords are a cute middle-aged couple. On first impression, they're from a nice suburban area, and they definitely have money. I'm currently renting a room in a house that they have near my campus. They don't live in or near my house. I live with strangers and share common areas. This couple is by far the cheapest money-grubbing people I've ever had to deal with in my life. Your key gets stuck in the lock every time you use it? Why don't you just stick the key in butter instead of having me go through the trouble of finding a locksmith for you? You have a mice problem? Why don't you spray pepper juice around the area? They give me this weird advice that never works. I may look like a naive college student, but I'm well educated enough to know that there are more efficient ways out there. Anyway, I call them money-grubbing landlords because they always try to make me pay for repairs around the house when it's clearly listed in the lease that it's not my responsibility. The house is very old and the floorboards creak. This time around, however, I was 3 days late on paying my rent. It's due on the 1st of every month. I actually asked my dad to pay for me this time since I was short on cash and I was going to pay him back. He sent out the rent money on the 1st and they didn't get it until the 3rd. From the first until they got the rent money, they've been nagging me by leaving me several voicemails and emails every day asking for the rent. I told them my situation, but this old couple was tag-teaming me. By the time they got the rent, they emailed me back, slapping me with a $60 late fee for being 3 days late. I know they don't need the rent money or fee money. They've had this house for so long that at this point, it's already been paid off. They're just trying to take advantage of college students. In revenge, every time a potential new housemate comes around to look at the place, I tell them the terrible things about this house and how greedy this couple is. Try finding other innocent victims to rob. And our next story. Don't pay me for the job, you don't get to play pool. I'm a pool table installer. I get lots of requests to install. I run ads on Craigslist often and pick up some business from there. A man calls me up, wants his table installed the next morning, but he wants me done by 8 a.m. It means I have to get to his house by 6 a.m. I don't normally start work before 8, but okay, it's going to be a fairly easy install. I arrive at his home. He takes me down to his basement. Floor is really uneven. It takes a bit of effort to level it. The man rolls balls on the table to test it. He actually takes twice as long to okay the table as most customers do. I don't fault him. You want a pool table installed and you want to make sure it's right before paying some stranger. I tell him how to perform the test. He does them 3 more times, nods and writes me a check. I don't normally accept checks from people off Craigslist, but hey, it's a real nice home and he's been nothing but courteous. I thank him, give him my card so that if he has any problems with the table, he can call me. I didn't have a problem with the man until I got to the bank to cash the check. Now, you might expect that he wrote me a bad check. That's what I was worried about when I handed the check to the bank to cash it. They hand it back a few moments later and inform me that the man who wrote it just put a stop check on it. He called the bank after I left and told them to stop payment on the check. I'm flabbergasted. I get on the phone, call him. His reason for stopping payment on the check? He didn't feel comfortable paying for the table install until he'd played 8 or 10 games on it. His words. I tell him that I'll be there in 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, I'm in his driveway. He's behind a locked screen door. I'm courteous. Sir, this isn't a good reason to stop payment on my payment. I installed it. You tested it repeatedly. You signed off on it. There's a warranty on the install. I provided references before taking the job, so you know my warranties are good. I did a job for you before my normal operating hours. Do the right thing and pay me. He replies, I don't feel comfortable paying for it until I've gotten to play 8 or 10 games on it, and unfortunately, I don't have time to do it today or tomorrow. I try to argue my case again. You can complain all you want. You can sue me. It's pointless, though, because this weekend I'll have time to play the games, and if there's no problem, I reissue a check on Monday. You'll have your payment before the courts can get involved. Just try to suck it up for a little while, okay? If you pictured me shoving my hand through the door, grabbing him by the throat, and slapping him on the ground like I was the Hulk and he was Loki, I pictured that too. But instead, I offered to replace his tensioner on the pool table. His table was used. I told him I had a new tensioner in the truck. If he would reissue the check today, I'd replace that at no cost. He wouldn't have to worry about the felt ever wrinkling. I told him that I noticed his was stripped out. The threading on the adjustment screw had been ground away. I tell him to go check. He comes back saying he can't find it. I tell him the part's usually $35 and $35 to change. But I'll throw it in if he'll just pay me for the work I've already done. After some hee-hawing on his part, he says, sure. I assume he was planning on just stopping payment on my next check as well. I walk downstairs, lift the end of the table in the air, and kick the shims out from under the legs. I go to the other end and do the same. I collect the shims, put them in my drill bag, and climb the stairs with him looking at the table in confusion and me walking up the stairs. What did you do? The table's unlevel. He asked, what about the tensioner? I told him to pay his bills next time, then informed him that I would be contacting every installer within 200 miles to let them know who he was and that he didn't pay for his installs. We all more or less know each other. That man isn't getting his table installed. Oh, there's no such thing as a tensioner on a pool table. I'm pretty sure you aren't the first Craigslist guy he's pulled that on. Seriously, what a scoundrel. And our last story. Why can't I take your bed and you sleep on the couch? A few years ago, a workplace acquaintance called me around midnight sobbing that her parents had kicked her out because they didn't like her boyfriend and she needed some place to stay for a few days while she sorted it out. I, being a young and naive fool, offered up my place, a one-bed, one-bath apartment that she'd been to before. She arrived about 2 hours later, her car filled to bursting with all her belongings. I knew immediately I'd made a mistake offering up my place and that she had no intention of staying just a day or two. But it being 2 a.m. and me being spineless, I decided to let her stay the night and tell her she needed to find another place in the morning. I gave her the go-ahead to use my shower and did what I could to make the couch into a comfy bed. When she got out of the shower, she saw that I had made a bed on the couch in the living room where my dog's crate was also set up. Her: I don't like dogs. Can you put him outside? Me: well, I don't have a yard and it's 20 degrees outside, so no. But he'll be in his crate all night and won't bother you. Her: can you just put him on your balcony? Me: no, he can sleep in my room tonight though. Her: it'll take too long to move his crate into your room. I'll just sleep in there and you can take the couch. Me: oh, he can just sleep on my bed with me, it's no big deal. Her: why can't I take your bed and you sleep on the couch? I would rather sleep in a bed. Me: yeah, I would too. So I'm gonna sleep in my bed in my apartment. Her: I don't want to sleep on the couch. Me: look, it's almost 3 in the morning. Can you either sleep on the couch or find a hotel? Her: well, I want the bed tomorrow. Me: we'll talk about it tomorrow. The next day at work, she referred to my apartment as our apartment, and I told her she needed to find somewhere else to stay. She proceeded to ask me for money to rent a hotel room, and told me she liked my shower products and I should give her the extras she saw I kept under my bathroom sink as a consolation gift. No. She ended up moving back in with her parents, who apparently didn't actually kick her out, but had just told her that if she and her boyfriend lived at their house, then they needed to contribute to the bills. Honestly, how hard was this to figure out? Too hard for her, obviously. She couldn't think her way out of a paper bag. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.